Yeah, good morning, good day, 18th of Shvat. Let's see what the day has in store for us here. Hayom Yom. Hayom Yom. Okay, the Tzemach Tzedek told his son, that's the Rebbe Maharaj, who was the grandfather of the Frierdiker Rebbe, that the mimer, umarehem umasehem, marehem umasehem, their appearance and their deeds. This refers to the vision of Yechezkel in his prophecy, where he saw the appearance of angels like a wheel, the famous spinning wheel, an oifen, a wheel within a wheel. And these wheels, right, they're round. So we have a fundamental structure in Hasidus, which is round, which is soiviv kol almin. And these are soivev within soivev, levels of transcendency within transcendency, even though that word probably means nothing. Transcendency, what it means operationally is that there are levels of godliness which are operating and which infuse, and remember, infuse all of reality in every single subatomic particle, but at the same time, it's hidden. Unlike the contrasting energy of God, which is called mamale, which fills. This is very, you can stumble with this because soiviv kol almin fills everything. But the distinction between it being soivev is that though it permeates everything, it's hidden. And it's non-particular. And it has no tangibility. And it has no descriptability. Whereas the or mamale, which is sometimes, and more, I think, for our conversation more meaningfully understood as or panimi, that's what it's called, fills everything and reveals itself, but in different levels of particularity. And the easiest thing to talk about is what we're going to talk about in the Tanya, Chabad Hagas Nahi. It's all divine, but it manifests differently at different levels, but the divinity of it is sourced in the Or HaSoive, again, back to the beginning, where the transcendent light. So the Tzemach Tzedek told his son that this mimer, where he saw wheels within wheels, which is levels of transcendency or soive within soive, was the first mimer discourse that the Mesricher Magi delivered when he assumed leadership of the Hasidim on Shavuos in 1761. The Alter Rebbe heard the mimer from Rab Mendel Horodoker. Rab Mendel Horodoker is also Rab Mendel of Vitebsk. He was the teacher and the Rebbe of the Alter Rebbe. Even though the Alter Rebbe, both of them were Talmidim of the Magid, the Alter Rebbe and Rab Mendel. But Rab Mendel, the relationship between the Alter Rebbe and Rab Mendel was a relationship called Talmud Chaver. The Alter Rebbe was a Talmud, a student of Rab Mendel, but he was also a Chaver, an equal. And so when Rab Mendel took the Hasidim to Eretz Yisrael, he gave over the leadership in that generation of the Hasidim in Eastern Europe to the Alter Rebbe. So, but in a certain sense, he was his teacher. He was because the Alter Rebbe was his Talmud. And he is the author of a book on Hasidus called Pri HaOretz. And so the Alter Rebbe heard it from him, from Rab Mendel, who had been present that Shavuos. However, the Alter Rebbe expounded the mimer in his own style. In other words, gave it over in the way that he had internalized it. That's a good application of the Or Panimi. He had taken the Or from the Magid and internalized it and gave it over in his way. Which I'm going to guess, I'll say that as I'm learning this is the teaching for each and every one of us. I'm just saying this, it's not written here, that each of every one of us are infusions of godliness from the deepest levels of Soiviv Kol Almin, but each one of us receive it in Panemius in a different way. And therefore, viva la difference, as they say in French, that we each are individually blessed with individuality, and at the same time, all are manifesting and manifest when we tap into it, the all-inclusive, indivisible, undifferentiated light of Hashem, which comes from Soviet Kamman. So the Alter Rebbe took that from the Magid, the way from Reb Mendel from the Vitebsk, internalized it and gave it over in his own way. And partly why I'm saying that is because it's relevant to our discussion here on lessons in Tanya today. And Lakutei Morim. We're starting a new chapter, chapter 23. And this is on page 297. But before we do, we'd like to hear and give an opportunity for refuah shleimus to be mentioned.
Teviachaya, Baslea Masha, Elko Rachel, Basaliza, Yehudis Golda, Eliza, Hana, and Barak Benjamin, Ben Rachel Blima.
Refuah shleimus b'korev to all of them.
Devorah Rachel Bat Miriam Chava.
Chava Daniela, Bas Naomi Chana.
Refuah shleimus.
Hayamushka Bas Elisheva.
Refuah shleimus b'korev.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah, so 297, chapter 23. In Lakutei Morim, chapter 23 begins on page Kof Ches, Koyach. All right, in this chapter, well, the Alter Rebbe is going to start in this chapter through chapter 25. And chapter 26 begins a kind of step-by-step or practical advices for realizing this state which this book is an instruction book, which is the state of a Beinoni. But so far, what he's basically been doing is giving us the conceptual framework to, in other words, know who we are. And part of that knowledge of who we are is to know that we've been made in the likeness of God, right? B'tselem Elokim, Na'aseh Odem b'Tzalmenu. And then he's given us details in what that likeness of God is. That likeness of God, the way God expresses himself, is through the 10 sephiros. And in order to, he says, I'll just read one line from previous up above, you don't have to look at it, but he says that the key, and he'll discuss later how to find the key and unlock the door that the key opens, the key to manifesting one's being in the image of God, which we all are, but manifesting it and expressing it is through the power of hachnoah, of bittul. Driving through, that's not the best word, overcoming the obstructive nature of reality, obstructive meaning that it's concealed, that there's something concealed in nature. It's like a mushal which comes to mind, may not be the best, is atomic bomb or atomic energy. Every single thing contains an energy which is unfathomable, right? There's more energy in a teacup than there is in a standard bomb of large size, but it's covered over. The teacup doesn't manifest that. So similarly, nature, teva, conceals this godliness, and the way to open it up is to not push away, let's start doing. Let's use his language. I said I was going to quote. And I'm going to quote, and then we'll move on with today's. So our sages have said that haughtiness, that's the root of it. Self-centeredness, taking oneself, that ego, the ego self, versus the godly self, the ego self as the reality. That interferes and blocks the energy of the atomic energy, so to speak. And that creates a sense of separation. And he says this any sense of separation that one has, and these were we talked about this the last time, and I said we could underline it at least mentally, is called kafira. It's called denial. denial in the oneness of Hashem. And in other words, you don't have to sin to be involved in denial, to the extent that one is not given over mean thinning the thickness of the ego. One is going to be in a state of denial because to that extent, you're not able to see and feel the divinity which is within you. So with that, we'll start. It's a short piece today. Perikov Gimel. Before I start, any questions on what I said so far? Okay. The Yim Kol Hanal, with all above, and I just gave us a piece of what the Alter Rebbe said above, Yuvan will be understood, v'yavur, and explained, heitev, well, b'toisvis bir, with additional explanation, ma'asha omru b'zohar, what it says in the Zohar. What does the Zohar say? Amongst the many things we've quoted from the Zohar, it says the following, Deraisa v'kudshabrichu kulachad, that the Torah and the Holy One, blessed be He, are one. He has invested his very self into the Torah. And that, we've talked about this before, is the famous drush that Chazal have on the very first word of the 10 commandments. Anoichi, I have invested, that's translated as an acronym for I have invested my very self in the Torah. So because the Torah and Hashem are one. Ubetikunim, and in that section of the Zohar called the Tikunim, Pirshu, it's explained how this works. What's it mean that he has invested himself in the Torah? Well, it means his investment or enclothement or expression is through the 248 limbs and 613 other things that constitute the body. So this is the metaphorical body of Hashem. And that number, 248 plus 365, are the mitzvahs. So the Torah is a container for the mitzvahs, which are his will, Ratzon HaElyon, his supernal will is invested in and derived that from that singularity of Ratzon, fans out 613 different commandments, which in Hasidus is explained. Mitzvah is lashon tzavta v'chibur, connection, tzavta. So the connectedness with Hashem in his Torah is a connectedness in which he invests himself, his very self, and fans it out into 365 mitzvahs. And this, of course, corresponds to the 365 limbs, organs, ligaments, etc., nerves, etc., on the body, in the human body. So that's how Hashem invests himself in the Torah. The Ramak, now back inside. The Ramak Pikudim, the 248 positive commandments. In the Ramak.
Excuse me, Avi, it's 248 limbs.
Well,
I think
that's 48. What have I been saying?
300 and something or other.
No, 360. Is the total. 248 positive and 365 negative. I'm sorry if I said incorrectly. 365 negative is the 613.
Okay. I guess
that's
in the Chayenu, they only mentioned the 248. So that's why I guess I got confused. Sorry.
Right. Well, in the Tanya, he's only mentioning 248. I'm adding that the wholeness of the human body is the 613, and that's the wholeness of the mitzvahs. So when you say that he invests himself in the Torah, he's investing himself in whole in the 248 positive and the 365 negative, and you get the 613. But he's talking now, yes, the positive. Those are the things, and the reason he's talking the positive only, because that's the expression coming out of himself, right? We've learned before, the 248 positive mitzvahs. What is a positive mitzvah? You're engaging with something. So we're describing the way in which Hashem engages with the Torah, the 248. Whereas the negative is how you're withdrawing from and not having anything to do with anything. So, thank you. So he's Pirushu b'deramach pikudim, the 248 positive commandments. Inin remach eborim demalka. These are the 248 limbs of the king. Lefisha mitzvahs hen penimius ratzon elyon. Because the mitzvahs, as I said before, are the detailed expression of the singular drive and will of Hashem. And they are what he really wants. Hefse amiti, his true desire, his true yearning, his true, And that Ratzon Elyon, and that's chefetz. Chefetz is a chefetz, as a noun, is something that you want, like a piece of jewelry. A chefetz, something that you really want, is a chefetz or a chefetz. He really wants these things, these mitzvahs, and these are expressions of himself. And these expressions of himself are melubish b'kol ha'olamus. And this is another point, and remarkable point. These expressions of himself, these 248 outpourings coming forth, coming out of himself and connecting, are enclosed in all the worlds. They are the enlivening godly energy of all the worlds, the mitzvahs. It's a different take than one usually sees, right? I mean, this opens up a whole door, right? These 248 infusions of energy, which land, so to speak, in what we call mitzvahs, these are the 248 channels which keep everything in existence. So, as we're going to see, there's an intrinsic connection. This is a big thing to say, between the mitzvahs that we do and the existence of all of the cosmos, all of the reality. Cosmos is a limited word. All of reality depends on our performance drawing down those 248 energies into existence, into reality. Ki kol chayusim, back in the Tanya, ki kol chayusim v'shefam, the entirety of the flow, the life force and the flow of these mitzvahs, these effusions of godliness, 248 of them, tol yu b'masa ha-mitzvahs, shel tachtainim, kanoida, depend on the performance of the mitzvahs of us down here, are the lower ones in the lower worlds, as is known. So I don't know if we've said this before in our learning of the Tanya. I mean, it's said in other places, but I mean, it's something very, profound, to say the least, that our performance of the mitzvahs draws down the shefa, the flow of godly energy, and all of reality depends on that. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. Benimsa, so it comes out, and he emphasizes this. Shemasa ha-mitzvahs, the deed of mitzvahs, the kiyumim, and their fulfillment, continual doing. Hulavush ha-panimi, it's an inner garment, a panemius garment, the panemius ratzon ha'elyon, to the innermost part of God's will. Garments, remember, machshava dibur ma'aser, thought, speech, and deed. Mitzvahs express themselves in those three categories. Thought, we'll take one, thinking words of Torah, studying words of Torah with your mind. Deed, speaking words of Torah, because you're not yotzi unless you speak it. Speaking, davening, right, with words, right. Mitzvahs of words, lashon toiv, to speak well to someone, right. And then, of course, ma'aseh. So these are the external garments of God's will, but they reach back into his panemius ratzon, his very innermost will, the supernal will. And the point is that through this deed that we do, nimshach or b'chayis ratzon elyon, is drawn down the light and the life force of God's supernal will, lehislabish ba'oilamis, to be enclosed in worlds. And that's today's short Tanya. Givalt, no? I find it pretty givalt. That us doing mitzvahs is what keeps not only this world, but all worlds in existence. Okay, any comments or questions? Okay. Quiet, peaceful. Okay,
Yeah.
Oh,
I just want to mention, we're back to this. There's no mention of kavana.
why do you say it like that? Because we want to emphasize the deed. Yeah,
Because
of course,
in
the
this
deed.
section, does he mention kavana?
Well, you already told us that kavanah is not necessary for mitzvahs, but okay, it's good to repeat it.
I didn't know. I'm not telling you. I don't know it. I'm just pointing out that when talking about keeping the world's created, the world is created
By
for
doing,
us
yeah,
to do mitzvahs.
right.
Okay.
But don't
I'm
forget,
going to
I
say
mean,
what we learned today.
yeah, absolutely, what we're learning today. But and do remember that the 3 garments include machshava.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I'm
Good.
going to give tzedakah. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give tzedakah. You should give tzedakah. Let's put the penny in the pushka. That's it.
Okay. Got
It's
it.
a mitzvah. Yeah, that's kavana.
Mm.
If you want to say it, that is kavana.
I
I'm
just
doing
read
it because it's a mitzvah. That's it.
Go
I
ahead.
just read what you're saying, that there's when we're talking about mitzvahs, there's always the safety net of the action. That even if you don't have kavana, you're doing the mitzvah, you got it.
You got
Because
it.
like the
Absolutely.
thought of, you can't do it without a thought, I need to do this, I'm going to take a penny. Like you have those subconscious
Right.
thoughts. But the klipas noga, the things that are neutral, that are not a mitzvah and not an avera, those are up to kavana. Like those are dependent upon kavana.
Well, yeah,
That
especially the kavanah of piercing or erasing or thinning out the ego, which is the source of all realized connection. Yeah.
I think it's shocking that the Alter Rebbe says that the minute you forget God, you're kofer. The minute you forget
Yeah.
that God is one and you are one with God,
That's
that's
a kaifer.
already avodah zarah.
That's what he said about yesterday. I didn't read that part. That kafir, he said very openly, kafir doesn't mean just about it's his language is that which you described is ka'aveda zora mamish. It's like idol worship mamish to the extent that one isn't bottle. Yeah. Therefore, well, why don't we put 2 together? one bunduchain. I'm going to act. I mean, if I don't act, there's not even a chance of me contributing to the continued existence of the universe, right? And I'm going to try to refine my actions so that more, the world can exist and does exist without any revealed sense of Hashem. That's kind of the state of most of the world today, right? But there's another state, a deeper state, where it can exist with a ultimately total or near total awareness of Hashem, which we call Geula. And that is up to us and call it Kavana, but our work on ourselves in thinning the sense of the negative. Yes, good, separateness. Good, thank you. And so we can work on that as we do the mitzvahs.
I just like to emphasize that because it's more inclusive. And I think what we're seeing is a more inclusive Yiddishkeit and recognizing the contributions of people who maybe they don't wear yarmulkes, maybe they don't daven shacharit, but they're, doing Hashem's ratzon. That's the ratzon for them.
And I would add that in a sense, a certain depth that not ordinary religious people may meet to, because they get to, because that's revealing the panemius, really panemius, the pintele yid, which is there.
And they don't want to hear about Kabbalah. And they don't want to hear about Olamot. They just want to do. They want to be good people, and they want to do what Hashem wants them to do. And tell me, and I'll do it.
Soldiers.
The Madriga. We're all soldiers, right? We
and
should.
There's a similar, as you describe the way that's done, there's another, which is Am Ha'oretz. The Baal Shem Tov came to speak to the Am Ha'oretz and told them, you don't need to be Talmidei Chachamim. You don't need to be, you have within you, you have the power within you. And I'll help you learn how to reveal it, Tachlis hapashitas, right? That's another expression you come across. Tachlis hapashitas, God himself, in essence, is the ultimate of simplicity. And this that we want to be and are able to be open and connected with him is by becoming ourselves Tachlis hapashitas, just simple Jews.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I think we have what to work with today, I think. And if there are no other comments, oh, Rivka, you're up
No,
again.
that's a thumbs up.
Oh, that's a thumbs up. Okay. Okay, I get it. Okay. I'm learning quickly between a raised hand and a thumb. Okay. We'll see you guys tomorrow, Mr. Hashem. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. Good talk.
Great,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Good, Tov.
Thank you. Thank you.